Anyway, we'll go there after the what have you. We'll brace the kid. Should be a pushover.
We'll be near the In-N-Out Burger.
Shut the up, Donnie.
Hey, what's up everyone? It's Ryan here from The Why, and today we're gonna be taking a look at The Big Lebowski. If there was ever a movie that somehow got better with every subsequent rewatching, you're looking at it. A huge contributing factor to this is that the movie's got so many quotable moments. And then in addition to that, even though it may seem basic if you've only seen it once, there's so many hidden details and ways of looking at things that you simply won't catch the first time you see it. On that note, let's get right into the video. Here are 30 facts you didn't know about The Big Lebowski. Before any scene with this character arriving somewhere, Jeff Bridges would ask the Coen brothers, "Did the dude burn one on the way over?" If they replied yes, all three would go light up a joint and no, I'm just kidding. He would simply go and rub his eyes to give them a bloodshot look.
You have to use so many cuss words. What are you talking about?
The Big Lebowski is full of words not safe for TV, so when the movie finally made its way to cable, the Coen brothers had two choices: bleep out all the swearing or replace them with other words. They chose the latter and told the actors to get creative with it. The end result was some of the most ridiculous TV edits ever made to a film.
You see what happens when you f*** a stranger in the You see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps? That's what happens, Larry! That's what happens, Larry! This is what happens when you feed us scrambled eggs!
Probably due in large part to the dude's copious intake of marijuana, he's often too lazy to come up with his own original thoughts, and finds it easier to just repeat phrases that he's heard elsewhere.
Her life is in your hands.
Her life was in our hands, man.
Easy, dude.
We're f***ed, Walter.
Nothing is dude.
Man, nothing is f***ed here.
Use the parlance of our times. However,
A young trophy wife in the parlance of our times, you know.
This will not stand. This will not stand, this aggression.
This will not stand, you know? This aggression will not stand, man.
When the dude first goes to Maud, there's a painting on the wall of scissors on a red background. Later in the film, during the dude's drug-induced trip, he sees a man in a red suit with giant scissors. The dude is a simple man with simple taste, which meant that picking out costumes for the role was a piece of cake. The entire process was basically the wardrobe assistant and Jeff Bridges going into his own closet and picking out clothes that best suited the dude. It's also worth noting that Jeff Bridges wore the same baseball shirt in both Cold Feet and The Fisher King. The baseball player on the shirt is Karu Beto, and Bridges apparently stole the shirt from his brother Bo. In The Big Lebowski, Walter being a Vietnam War veteran was in many ways his defining characteristic.
Look, Larry, have you ever heard of Vietnam?
Oh, for
You're
Christ's
entering a
sake,
world of
Walter.
pain, son. We know that this is your homework.
But in the original script, it was revealed by the dude that Walter had made it all up. This revelation was set to take place during the spreading of Donnie's ashes, when he finally loses it on Walter.
What was that shit about Vietnam?
Dude, I'm sorry.
Does anything have to do with Vietnam?
Dude, I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
The original script had the dude adding on one line at the end. "You weren't even in Vietnam, Walter." Honestly, I'm not surprised. Walter's already shown a propensity to take on certain aspects of other people, like how he converted to Judaism because of his wife, and kept practicing even after they divorced, being so devout that he loses his mind when the game's scheduled on Sunday.
Will you come off it, Walter? You're not even Jewish, man.
What are you talking
Man,
about?
you're Polish Catholic.
Not to mention, he takes care of her dog while she and her new boyfriend go on vacation. It sort of reminds me of the dude, but to a greater extent. What I mean by this is the dude hears something and pawns it off as his own idea, while on the other hand, Walter takes it a step further and literally becomes that very idea.
I did not watch my buddies die face down in the muck so that this f***ing strumpet, this f***ing
Jesus Quintana, or the pederast, is shown to actually be a highly accomplished bowler, as evidenced by the rings he's wearing. They're in fact certified rings from the American Bowling Congress that signify he can bowl a perfect 300 game, a 299 game, and an 800 series. In the very last scene, the dude provides us with one of his most famous quotes.
Yeah, well, the dude abides.
And like everything else that comes out of his mouth, it's not quite original.
I will not abide another toe.
What's interesting about this is that although both characters say the same word, the meaning they intend is totally different, owing to their opposite personalities. The Big Lebowski uses abide to convey that he won't tolerate or stand another missing toe, while the dude employs the second definition of abide, namely to remain stable or fixed in a state. The car of Private Investigator DeFino is visible in the background during the scene at the diner. Out of all the different bowling shirts Donnie wears throughout the film, none of them have his actual name.
Say post for the next round for the tournament.
Donnie, shut the fuck up. When do we play?
In the opening monologue, the stranger makes this comment about the dude's self-given name.
Now, dude, that's a name no one would self-apply where I come from.
The stranger is referring to the original definition of the word dude, a man dressed in a fashionable manner visiting a rural location. It was often used by cowboys to unfavorably refer to city dwellers, which explains why the stranger said what he said.
F***ing dog has f***ing papers.
Over the line!
I'm sorry, Smokey. You were over the line. That's a foul.
So it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Walter believes his foot was over the line. But was it really? On second glance, I think it's safe to say his foot was not over the line, and Walter was in the wrong. There was, however, one instance of a foot being over the line. It was in the opening credits and gave us a little hint of what was to come. At first glance, it seems like the dude is straight up broke. He doesn't have a job, is late on rent, and has to write a check for a jug of milk. Although, if he doesn't have a job, how'd he get an apartment in the first place? Or a car? And let's not forget about his alcohol and weed expenses. Well, early drafts of the script provided a little more backstory on the dude and how he was able to afford such things without a job. As it goes, the dude was actually the heir to the inventor of the Rubik's Cube, making him a caricature of a trust fund kid. But Joel Cohen cut the scene out, as he figured it was better to keep some mystery about the dude. There were actually a couple pieces of foreshadowing that pointed to Donnie's heart attack, or at least that something was very off. The first bad omen is Donnie's final role. In the entire movie, it's the only time he doesn't get a strike, and his face says it all. And second, after Donnie sits down, he appears to be having some kind of issue or discomfort with his arm. This is a major sign of things to come, as pain or discomfort in one of your arms is a common early symptom of a heart attack.
That rug really tied the room together, did it not?
A.
This guy peed on it.
Donnie, please.
The real-life inspiration for the dude is a man known as Jeff Dowd. The Coen brothers met Dowd on the set of their first movie and were quickly enthralled with his unique persona. Dowd, who also went by the Dude, was famously a member of the Seattle seven anti-war protesters who were charged with conspiracy to incite a riot after things got a bit violent. Speaking of real-life counterparts, Walter had one as well in the form of screenwriter John Milius. Career-wise, Milius has had a remarkable one. Some of his accolades include being a writer for Dirty Harry, Apocalypse Now, Conan the Barbarian, and Red Dawn. And in addition to the fact that they look almost identical, they also share a love of guns. But unlike Walter, Milius never got the chance to serve in Vietnam due to a case of mild asthma, which he says is one of the biggest regrets of his life.
I miss, going to my war.
Like many things in the film, we never get an explanation for why the dude hates the Eagles. T-Bone Burnett, the music consultant for the Big Lebowski, tried to clear things up with this statement. The Eagles sort of single-handedly destroyed that whole scene that was brewing back then. By scene, he's of course referring to the hippie, anti-war counterculture that the dude considered himself to be a part of. I guess in some ways, the Eagles were too mainstream to be seen as counterculture, and additionally made songs like Take It Easy that sold a sense of contentment and chilling out that was opposite to the mindset of many hippies.
Man, come on. I had a rough night and I hate the f***ing Eagles.
If there was one person who hated the Eagles more than the dude, it'd have to be Alan Klein. The man was an awful scumbag who stole millions from the Rolling Stones, but that's a story for another day. His connection to the Big Lebowski centered on the licensing of a certain song. The Coen brothers wanted the Rolling Stones song Dead Flowers for the credits of the movie, and Alan Klein sent back an asking price of $150,000. That is, until he saw an early screening of the film and watched this very scene.
Man, come on. I had a rough night and I hate the Eagles.
He was reportedly elated upon hearing the line and immediately waived his asking price and let them use the song for free.
All you needed was a sap to pin it on. You just met me, you human paraquat.
So I'll be honest, when I first heard this, I had no idea what paraquat was and assumed it was a stupid nonsensical insult coming from the dude. But calling the Big Lebowski a human paraquat may be the most clever thing the dude said the entire film. That's because paraquat is one of the most widely used herbicides in the United States. And during the 70s and 80s, it became a symbol of government malfeasance as it was commonly employed to exterminate marijuana fields. Funny enough, the line was also one of the only examples of improvisation in the entire film. Even in the hectic conversations, there was no room for improv, as the script was already near perfect.
I am the walrus.
Oh yeah.
I am the walrus.
Shut the up, Donnie.
Man, dude, or is said around once every 12 seconds in the film.
We are sympathizing here, dude.
Sympathy? I don't need your sympathy, man. I need my Johnson.
If I had to describe Maud Lebowski in a couple words, eccentric, bold, and just downright strange would be a good place to start.
Excuse me?
Sex, the physical act of love. Coitus. Do you like it?
I was talking about my rug.
So it should come as no surprise that the character was based on two women who could be described with the same exact words. The first was Yoko Ono. I think no further explanation is needed there. The second woman was Carolee Schneemann, an American visual experimental artist who, like Maud, did a lot of her work from a swing, among other things. Her most famous piece of art is titled Meat Joy, described as men and women clad in feather-trimmed bikinis and briefs dancing and writhing on plastic sheeting while rubbing raw fish, chicken, sausage, and wet paint onto their bodies. If we take a look at the scene with the briefcase getting thrown out of the car, something about the shot just doesn't add up. The briefcase appears to get thrown in almost perfect arc. And if you thought it looks a little too perfect, you'd absolutely be correct. The production team tried throwing the briefcase from the car multiple times, but they ultimately concluded it was simply too difficult to get the correct angle due to the car door. So what they did instead was to have a driver back up while a crew member tossed the briefcase to him. Then in post-production, they of course reversed the tape and utilized the dark shadows so you can't see exactly what's going on. The dude actually appears in every scene in the film. However, none of those aforementioned scenes show the dude actually bowling. The closest he gets is in the dream sequence. But even then, it's still Maud who throws the ball.
The f is this?
Obviously, you're not a golfer.
In the very first scene of the film, we get a pretty good understanding of what kind of person the dude is, as he's shown buying a jug of half and half milk with a damn check. And on closer inspection, the check itself only tells half the story. And no, I'm not talking about how it costs 69 cents, although what are the chances of that? But the date is the key thing to focus on. It reads September 11th, 1991, which is peculiar because the very next shot is of President Bush giving a speech dated August 5th, 1990. All this amounts to the fact that the dude was post-dating a check for over a year away. Either that, or the dude was so high he forgot what year it was. There are many reasons as to why Jesus is among the most memorable characters in The Big Lebowski. Although when John Turturro first read the script, he said there was nothing there. Feeling like the character had so much more potential, Turturro went to the Coen brothers and got permission to do whatever he wanted. He first came up with the purple outfit and the hairnet, then thought, well, I'm already a pederast, so I might as well get super sexual with the bowling balls. And his little dance after hitting a strike was the icing on the cake, which the Coen brothers loved.
Jesus.
You said it, man. Nobody with the Jesus.
During the scene at the restaurant, Walter is ranting as per usual, and the dude, not wanting to hear it, gets up to leave. In true dude fashion, as he empties his pockets for change to pay for the coffee, out pops a little joint that he probably smoked right after.
Well, this affects all of us, man.
The Big Lebowski, and more accurately, the dude, have garnered somewhat of a cult following in the many years since the release of the film. Members of the fandom have created what's known as Lebowski Fest, an annual event started in 2002 that celebrates all things dude. And talking about crazy things the Big Lebowski spawned, I'm happy to report the film led to the founding of a new religion called Dudism. The Church of the Latter-day Dude refers to themselves as the slowest growing religion in the world that practices as little as possible and preaches no preachiness. The Big Lebowski released directly after Fargo, and as such, holds many references to the film. First up, you've got Peter Stormare's character finally getting what he's been asking for.
Where's Pancake's house?
What?
We stop at Pancake's house.
Zollingerberry pancake.
Then there's the case of Bunny Lebowski and where she's from.
It's the family farm. It's outside of Moorhead, Minnesota.
Moorhead is notably a twin city of none other than Fargo, and the original script even revealed her real name to be Fawn Gunderson, which would have made her related to Marge Gunderson. Lastly, the Coen brothers created somewhat of a running gag in that Steve Buscemi's dead body gets smaller and smaller in every film he's in. In Miller's Crossing, he's just a dead body. In Fargo, all that's left of him is a leg. And then in The Big Lebowski, he ends up as ashes. While the Coen brothers wrote the script with John Goodman and Steve Buscemi in mind, they were less sure of who to cast as the dude. The first pitch went out to Mel Gibson, though he reportedly didn't take the role seriously. Next up was Jeff Bridges, and they quickly discovered he was perfect in every way. Like the dude, Bridges grew up in Los Angeles during the 60s and 70s, used surfer lingo, and did drugs in a small abode much like the dude's. Although he likes to think that he was a bit more creative than his on-screen counterpart.
I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, you know?
Upon letting producer Joel Silver review the finished script, Ethan Coen says he wrote back an intriguing comment that the movie should end with the dude getting his rug back, or at the very least, have some mention of it. The brothers thought it was a pretty sound idea, but they never followed through because of their overall conception of what kind of film it was. They understood the plot was largely a secondary concern, and that whether or not the dude gets his rug back is negligible to the audience's overall enjoyment of the movie.
Yeah, man, it really tied the room together.
In terms of a sequel to The Big Lebowski, the Coen brothers have definitively stated that it's never gonna happen. They did, however, grant John Turturro the right to use Jesus in a spin-off. The Jesus Rolls released in 2020 to largely negative reviews, which, to be honest, isn't much of a shocker.
8-year-olds, dude.
Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Oh, and don't forget to leave me a like and subscribe. Alright, till next time, have a great day everyone.